When Michael Jordan opened a cream-colored envelope late one rainy night, he had no idea his entire world was about to change forever. The envelope sat on top of his mail pile. The handwriting on the front made his hands shake. He knew that handwriting anywhere. It was from Juanita, his ex-wife of 20 years. They'd been divorced for 2 decades. 20 years of polite smiles at family gatherings. 20 years of careful distance. 20 years of pretending they were strangers who once knew each other. So why was she writing to him now? Michael tore open the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside was a letter written on delicate cream paper. His eyes moved to the first line, and the moment he read it, tears burst from his eyes like a dam breaking. The letter said, "Michael, I never told you the real reason I said yes when you proposed. After 37 years since their engagement and 20 years since their divorce, she never told him why she married him?" But that devastating first line was just the beginning. What Juanita revealed in the rest of that letter would shake Michael to his core. A secret she'd carried for 40 years, a truth so powerful it would send him racing through the rain in the middle of the night. A choice between life and death that would test everything he thought he knew about love. What was the real reason Juanita said yes all those years ago? What secret had she been hiding since the day they met? And why was she telling him now, after all this time? Stay with us until the very end, because this story of love, secrets, and second chances will leave you in tears. And this is the incredible true story of how one letter changed everything. Michael Jordan sat alone in his Chicago penthouse, watching raindrops race down the floor-to-ceiling windows. The city lights below blurred into streams of gold and red. At 61 years old, he had everything a man could want: money, fame, respect. But tonight, like so many nights before, he felt empty. His tablet glowed on the glass coffee table, paused on an old game from 1998. There he was, younger and unstoppable, hitting the final shot against the Jazz. The crowd went wild. The championship was his, again. Michael sighed and turned it off. Those days felt like someone else's life. "Mr. Jordan?" His assistant Elena appeared in the doorway, holding a stack of mail. "I'm heading home. Do you need anything before I go?" "No, Elena, thank you. Just have a good night." She set the mail on the side table near his chair. "There's something in there that looks personal. The cream envelope. I thought you'd want to see it right away." Michael nodded, barely listening. Elena hesitated, like she wanted to say something else, then smiled softly and left. The penthouse door clicked shut, and he was alone again. He reached for the mail without much interest. Bills, a letter from a charity asking for donations, magazine subscriptions, fan mail that Elena usually handled. Then his hand stopped, the cream-colored envelope. His heart skipped a beat. He knew that handwriting. Elegant, careful letters written in blue ink. He'd know it anywhere. Juanita. They'd been divorced for almost 20 years. 20 years of polite conversations at family gatherings. 20 years of careful distance. 20 years of pretending they were strangers who once knew each other. Why would she write to him now? Michael's hands trembled as he picked up the envelope. It was heavier than he expected, like it held more than just paper inside. His name was written across the front in her perfect script. Michael Jeffrey Jordan. No one called him by his full name anymore, except her. Always her. He turned the envelope over. No return address. The seal was a simple piece of tape, nothing fancy. He ran his thumb along the edge, suddenly afraid to open it. What if something was wrong? What if one of the kids was in trouble? No. They would have called him, texted him. This was something else. Taking a deep breath, Michael tore open the envelope. Inside was a letter written on delicate cream stationery, folded in thirds. He pulled it out carefully and unfolded it. The paper felt expensive, smooth under his fingers. At the top, in that same elegant handwriting, it began, "Dear Michael." He read the next line, the first real line of the letter. "I never told you the real reason I said yes when you proposed." Michael's breath caught in his throat. His eyes blurred instantly with tears. One drop fell onto the paper, smudging the ink slightly. "What?" He read it again. "I never told you the real reason I said yes when you proposed." The letter slipped from his fingers and fell into his lap. His whole body felt frozen. After all these years, 37 years since he proposed, 20 years since the divorce, she never told him why she married him. Tears streamed down his face. He didn't try to stop them. In his living room, Wayne surrounded by championship trophies and photos of glory, Michael Jordan cried like he hadn't cried in decades. Why? Why did she say yes? He'd always thought he knew. They were young and in love. He was on his way to greatness, and she was beautiful and strong. They fit together. That's what he'd believed for all these years. But if that wasn't the reason, what was? Michael wiped his eyes with the back of his hand and picked up the letter again. His fingers shook so badly that the paper rattled. There was more. A whole page of writing below that devastating first line. But he couldn't read it yet. Not yet. He stood up and walked to the window, clutching the letter to his chest. The rain was falling harder now, washing the city clean. Somewhere out there, Juanita was living her life. And she'd been carrying this secret for more than 30 years. Michael pressed his forehead against the cool glass and closed his eyes. "What didn't you tell me?" he whispered into the empty room. The letter felt heavy in his hands, heavy with truth, heavy with the weight of a lifetime of unspoken words. Taking a shaky breath, Michael returned to his chair. He turned on the reading lamp and smoothed out the letter on his knee. It was time to know the truth. Michael stared at the letter in his hands, but the words blurred through his tears. His mind pulled him backward, away from this rainy night, away from the pain. Back to when everything was simple. Back to when he was just a kid who could fly. Back to 1985, Chicago, 1985. 22-year-old Michael pushed through the restaurant doors, his teammate Kenny beside him. They'd just beaten the Celtics in Boston, and the whole team was celebrating at a popular spot downtown. "Man, that dunk you had in the fourth quarter," Kenny laughed, slapping Michael's shoulder. "Larry Bird's face was priceless." Michael grinned, but he was exhausted. The season was wearing on him. Every night, fans wanted autographs. Reporters wanted interviews. Coaches wanted more. Everyone wanted a piece of Michael Jordan. The restaurant was packed and loud. Music pumped from speakers. People shouted over each other. Michael spotted his teammates at a large table in the back, already ordering drinks and appetizers. As he walked through the crowd, he noticed her. She sat alone at a small table by the window reading a book. In the middle of all this noise and chaos, she was perfectly calm. She wore a simple black dress, and her hair fell in soft curls around her shoulders. She didn't look up when people walked past. She didn't seem to care about the basketball players or the celebration happening around her. Michael stopped walking. "You coming?" Kenny asked. "Yeah, in a minute. Save me a seat." Kenny followed Michael's gaze and grinned. "Good luck, man." Michael straightened his jacket and walked over to her table. Up close, she was even more beautiful. High cheekbones, smooth skin, eyes that looked intelligent and kind. "Excuse me," Michael said. She looked up from her book, and for a second he forgot what he was going to say. Her eyes were deep brown, almost black in the dim restaurant light. "Yes," she said politely. I noticed you sitting here alone. Would you like some company?" She studied him for a moment, and then glanced at the book in her hands and closed it. "You're that basketball player everyone's talking about, aren't you?" "Michael Jordan," he said, extending his hand. "I know who you are," she said, shaking his hand briefly. "The whole city knows who you are." "And you are?" "Juanita Vinoy." She gestured to the empty chair across from her. "You can sit if you want, but I'm not going to ask for an autograph or tell you how great you are." Michael laughed and sat down. "Good, I hear that enough already." "I'm sure you do." A waiter appeared with a menu for Michael, but he waved it away. "Just water, please." Juanita raised an eyebrow. "Your teammates over there are ordering champagne, and you want water?" "I'm tired of celebrating," Michael admitted. "Yeah, sometimes I just want to sit somewhere quiet." "Then why did you come to a loud restaurant?" "Because everyone expects me to." The words came out before he could stop them. He wasn't sure why he was being so honest with this stranger. Juanita tilted her head, studying him with those intelligent eyes. "That sounds exhausting." "It is." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Michael watched her, fascinated. Most people filled silence with chatter, asking him questions, trying to impress him. but Juanita seemed perfectly content to say nothing. "What do you do?" Michael finally asked. "When you're not sitting in restaurants reading books?" "I'm a loan officer at a bank, and I model sometimes when the jobs are worth it." "A loan officer? That sounds serious." "It is," Juanita said. "I like numbers. I like helping people plan their futures. It's steady work." "Not like basketball." "No," she agreed. "Not like basketball. Basketball is exciting and unpredictable. Banking is boring and safe." "Do you like boring and safe?" Juanita smiled for the first time, and Michael felt his heart skip. "Sometimes, don't you?" "I don't know," Michael said honestly. "I've never really tried it." Over the next hour they talked, really talked. Juanita asked about his childhood in North Carolina, about his father who taught him to love the game, about his mother who kept him humble. She asked about his fears, his dreams beyond basketball. "What happens when you're too old to play?" she asked. No one had ever asked him that before. "I don't know," Michael admitted. "I guess I haven't thought that far ahead." "You should," Juanita said softly. "Where everything ends eventually, even the exciting, unpredictable things." When the evening ended, Michael walked her to her car. Rain had started to fall, light and cool. "Can I see you again?" he asked. Juanita unlocked her car door, then turned to face him. "Why?" "What do you mean, why?" "You could have any woman in Chicago," she said. "Why me?" Michael thought about it. "Because you're the first person in months who made me feel like a regular person. Not Michael Jordan, the basketball star. Just Michael." Something shifted in Juanita's expression. Sadness, maybe, or understanding. "Okay," she said quietly. "You can call me." She wrote her number on a piece of paper from her purse and handed it to him. Their fingers touched briefly and Michael felt electricity run through him. "Good night, Michael." "Good night, Juanita." He watched her drive away, the piece of paper clutched in his hand like it was made of gold. Present day. Michael blinked, pulled back to reality by the sound of thunder outside his window. The memory faded, but the feeling remained. That electric touch, that first conversation, the way she saw through all his armor straight to the scared kid underneath. He looked down at the letter again, at that first devastating line. "I never told you the real reason I said yes when you proposed." His hand steadied. He needed to know. He needed to understand what he'd missed all these years. Michael began to read the rest of the letter, and with each word his heart broke a little more. "When you proposed to me on New Year's Eve 1987, I hesitated. Do you remember? You were so nervous, fumbling with the ring box. You said, 'When I've never been more sure of anything.' But I was sure of something too. I was sure that marrying you meant marrying your greatness. And I was terrified that I'd lose you to it." Michael set the letter down. His chest felt tight. Yes, he remembered. He remembered the candlelight, the small restaurant, the way his hands shook when he got down on one knee. But he didn't remember her hesitation, or maybe he just didn't want to see it. The memories came flooding back. New Year's Eve, 1987. Michael had rented out the back room of the same restaurant where they'd first met. Just the two of them, a table by the window, champagne chilling in a bucket. He'd been planning this for weeks. "Why are we the only ones here?" Juanita asked, looking around the empty room. "I wanted tonight to be special. Just us." She smiled. Well, but there was something nervous in her eyes. "Michael, what's going on?" His heart pounded. He'd faced thousands of screaming fans, played in front of millions on television, but nothing scared him like this moment. "Juanita, these past 2 years with you have been the best of my life. You make me feel like I can do anything, like I can be anything." "You already are everything," she said softly. "No." Michael shook his head. "On the court, maybe. But off the court, I'm just a guy who gets lonely, who gets scared, who needs someone to come home to." He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out the small velvet box. Juanita's eyes widened. "Michael." He got down on one knee. His hands were shaking so badly he almost dropped the ring. "Juanita Vanoy, will you marry me?" She stared at the ring, a beautiful diamond that had cost him nearly everything he'd saved. Tears filled her eyes, but she didn't say yes right away. "Are you sure you want this?" she asked quietly. The real marriage, not the fairy tale? What do you mean? I mean the hard parts, the lonely nights when you're traveling, the arguments about whose career comes first, the reality of building a life together when the whole world wants a piece of you. Michael's knee was starting to hurt against the hard floor, but he didn't move. I've thought about all of that, and I'm still here. I'm still asking. Juanita closed her eyes. A single tear rolled down her cheek. Yes, she whispered. Yes, I'll marry you. Michael slipped the ring onto her finger and stood up, pulling her into his arms. She held him tight, her face buried in his shoulder. He didn't see that she was crying. He was too happy to notice. 1989, the wedding. They married in Las Vegas in a beautiful ceremony. Juanita wore a stunning white dress with a long train. Michael wore a tuxedo and couldn't stop grinning. His mother Dolores cried through the whole ceremony. His father James stood proud beside him. Take care of her, James whispered during the reception. She's giving up a lot to be with you. I will, Dad, I promise. That same year, their first son Jeffrey was born. Michael held the tiny baby in his arms and felt a love he'd never known existed. This was what mattered, not the championships or the fame. This. He has your eyes, Juanita said from the hospital bed, exhausted but glowing. And your strength, Michael replied. When 1990, the first championship. Michael won his first NBA championship. The city of Chicago went crazy. Parades, celebrations, interviews that lasted for days. Michael was everywhere. On television, in magazines, on billboards. Juanita stood beside him at every event, smiling for the cameras. She held Jeffrey on her hip, bounced him when he cried, apologized when he got fussy during important photo shoots. Mrs. Jordan, how does it feel to be married to a champion? Reporters asked. I'm very proud of him, she always said. But late at night, when they were alone in their bedroom, Michael saw the exhaustion in her eyes. You okay? He asked. Just tired. Jeffrey's not sleeping well. I can help more. You have training tomorrow, and meetings, and that commercial shoot. It's fine, Michael. I've got it. He kissed her forehead. Hon, I love you. I love you too. Their second son, Marcus, was born later that year. Then their daughter, Jasmine, in 1992. 3 beautiful children, a growing family. But Michael's career was exploding. More championships, more endorsements, more demands on his time. 1995, the breaking point. Michael had retired from basketball briefly, then returned. The comeback was huge news. Everyone wanted to interview him, sponsor him, be near him. One night he came home at midnight after a long day of practice and promotional events. The house was quiet. He found Juanita sitting alone in the kitchen, a cup of cold tea in front of her. Hey, baby, why are you still up? She looked at him with tired eyes. Do you know what grade Jeffrey is in? Michael paused, his briefcase still in his hand. What? What grade is your oldest son in? Simple question. He thought about it. 3rd grade? 4th? He honestly wasn't sure. That's what I thought, Juanita said quietly. Her voice wasn't angry, just sad, disappointed. Juanita, he had a school play today. He was the lead. He was so excited. He kept asking me, is Dad coming? Is Dad going to watch me? Michael's stomach dropped. He'd forgotten. With everything else going on, he'd completely forgotten. I'm sorry. I'll make it up to him. How? Juanita stood up. With another expensive toy? Another promise you won't keep? He doesn't want things, Michael. He wants you. I'm doing this for all of you. Everything I do is to give you a better life. We don't need a better life. Juanita's voice cracked. We need you. The kids need their father. I need my husband. But you're never here. Even when you're standing right in front of me, you're not really here. Michael set down his briefcase. He moved toward her, but she stepped back. I'm not asking you to stop being great, she said, tears streaming down her face. I'm just asking you to remember we exist when you're not on the court. The words hit him like a punch to the gut. I'll do better, he promised. I swear, Juanita, I'll be here more. She looked at him for a long moment, then nodded. Okay. But they both knew it was a promise he couldn't keep. Present-day Michael wiped his eyes. The letter sat in his lap, still unfinished. Thunder rumbled outside, shaking the windows. He picked up the letter again and kept reading. I watched you become the greatest basketball player who ever lived. I watched the whole world fall in love with you. And I was proud, Michael. So proud. But I was also disappearing. Bit by bit, day by day. I stopped being Juanita and became Michael Jordan's wife. The woman in the background. The one holding the kids while you held the trophy. Michael's hands clenched the paper. He wanted to argue, to defend himself, but he couldn't, because she was right. He kept reading, and the next words made his blood run cold. By 2002, I knew I had to choose. Keep loving you from a distance, or leave and try to find myself again. So I made the hardest choice of my life. I chose me. Michael remembered that year. The divorce, the lawyers, the settlement. But what came next in the letter? That was something he'd never known. Michael's eyes moved to the next paragraph, and the words made his hands shake. But there was something I never told you, Michael. Something I carried alone through our entire marriage. And I need you to know the truth now, before it's too late. Before it's too late? What did that mean? Michael's heart raced. He stood up quickly, the letter clutched in his fist. He walked to the window, trying to breathe, trying to think. Rain hammered against the glass. Lightning flashed across the dark sky, illuminating the city below for just a moment before everything went dark again. He forced himself to sit back down and keep reading. In 1986, a year after we met, I went to my doctor for a routine checkup. I'd been having chest pains, small ones, nothing terrible. The doctor ran tests, lots of tests, and then she sat me down and told me I had a genetic heart condition, the same one that killed my mother when I was 16. Michael stopped breathing. Juanita's mother had died young. He knew that. But a genetic heart condition? She'd never said anything, not once in all their years together. The doctors told me I'd probably need a heart transplant by my 50s, maybe sooner if I lived a stressful life. They said I should tell the people closest to me, plan for the future, make arrangements. The letter continued on the next page. Michael flipped it over with trembling fingers. But I didn't tell you, Michael. I couldn't. We'd only been dating for a year. You were just starting to become famous. Your whole life was ahead of you. And I knew that if I told you, everything would change. You'd marry me out of pity, out of some hero complex. You'd try to save me instead of love me. So I kept it secret. No, Michael whispered to the empty room. No. When you proposed on New Year's Eve, 1987, I hesitated because I was terrified. I was marrying you knowing I might not have much time, knowing that one day you'd have to watch me die. But I loved you so much, Michael, more than I've ever loved anyone. So I said yes, and I prayed I'd have enough years to make it worth it. Michael dropped the letter and buried his face in his hands. She'd known. All those years, through the pregnancies, through raising their children, through every fight and every celebration, she'd known she was living on borrowed time, and she'd carried that burden alone. He grabbed his phone from the coffee table and scrolled through his contacts with shaking fingers. There, Jasmine, his daughter. The phone rang 3 times before she answered. Dad, it's almost midnight. Is everything okay? Jasmine, I need to ask you something about your mother. There was a pause. What about her? Has she been sick? Has she said anything to you about her health? Dad, what's going on? You're scaring me. Please, baby, just answer the question. Jasmine sighed. She mentioned having some chest pains a few months ago. Said it was nothing. Stress from work. Why? Chest pains, just like she'd had 40 years ago. Did she go to the doctor? I don't know. Maybe. Dad, seriously, what's happening? Michael couldn't tell her. Not yet. Not until he understood everything. Nothing. I'm sorry I woke you. Go back to sleep. Dad! He hung up before she could ask more questions. His hands were shaking so badly he could barely pick up the letter again. But he had to finish it. He had to know. I thought I had more time. I really did. We had Jeffrey, Marcus, and Jasmine. We built a life together. And yes, it was hard. Yes, your career pulled you away. But I never stopped loving you. Even when I filed for divorce, even when we split our assets and divided our lives, I never stopped. The divorce wasn't about love, Michael. It was about stress. The doctors warned me that stress would make my condition worse. And being married to you, trying to hold our family together while you chased greatness, it was killing me. Literally. My heart couldn't take it anymore. Michael felt like someone had reached into his chest and squeezed. She left to save her own life, and he'd never known. So I left. I told you we grew apart. I told the kids we wanted different things. But the truth was, I left because staying meant dying sooner. And I wasn't ready to leave our children without a mother. Tears streamed down Michael's face. He didn't try to stop them. The next part of the letter was written in slightly messier handwriting, like she'd been crying while she wrote it. I'm writing this letter now because I need to tell you the truth. All of it. I've kept this secret for almost 40 years and I can't keep it anymore. Last month I went to the doctor. The chest pains were getting worse. They ran tests, scans, blood work, everything. Michael's whole body went cold. Michael, I need a heart transplant. Soon. Within the next few months, or I won't make it. No. The word came out as a broken whisper. His phone was in his hands before he consciously decided to call. He pulled up Juanita's number. They'd stayed in touch over the years for the kids. Always polite, always distant, and pressed dial. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Please pick up, Michael begged. Please. Voicemail. This is Juanita. Leave a message. The beep sounded. Juanita, it's Michael. I got your letter. Please call me back. Please, I don't care what time it is, just please. He hung up and immediately called again. Voicemail. He tried texting. Got your letter. Need to talk. Please call. No response. Michael paced across his living room, the letter still clutched in one hand, his phone in the other. Where was she? Why wasn't she answering? He looked at the clock. 12:17 a.m. Maybe she was sleeping. Maybe her phone was off. Maybe everything was fine. But the letter had said she needed a transplant soon, within months. What if she didn't have months? What if... His phone rang, the sound so sudden and loud that he nearly dropped it. Unknown number. Hello? He answered desperately. Is this Michael Jordan? A woman's voice. Professional, calm. Yes, who is this? Mr. Jordan, this is Dr. Rachel Morrison from Northwestern Memorial Hospital. I'm calling about Juanita Vinoy. She listed you as an emergency contact. The room spun. Michael sat down hard on the couch. What happened? Is she okay? Mr. Jordan, Juanita was brought to the emergency room earlier this evening. She had a heart attack. She's stable now, but I'm on my way. Mr. Jordan, visiting hours are... I'm on my way, he repeated, already grabbing his jacket. He hung up and ran for the door, the letter left behind on his coffee table. The last page unread, the biggest secret still untold. Michael's hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly his knuckles turned white. Rain poured down, making it hard to see the road ahead. Windshield wipers moved frantically back and forth. Come on, he muttered, weaving through late-night traffic. Northwestern Memorial Hospital was only 15 minutes away, but it felt like hours. Every red light made him want to scream. Every slow car in front of him made him curse under his breath. His phone sat in the cup holder, silent. No calls, no texts. Nothing from Juanita. A heart attack. She'd had a heart attack because of the condition she'd hidden from him for 40 years. Michael's eyes burned with tears, but he blinked them away. He needed to see clearly, needed to drive, needed to get to her. Finally, the hospital appeared, a tall building with bright lights cutting through the darkness. Michael pulled into the emergency parking area, not caring that it said ambulances only. He threw open his door and ran through the rain toward the entrance. The automatic doors slid open. Warm air and the smell of antiseptic hit him. A security guard looked up from his desk. Sir, you can't park there. I'm here for Juanita Vinoy. Where is she? The guard's eyes widened slightly. Recognition. Even at midnight, even soaking wet and desperate, people knew Michael Jordan's face. Let me call upstairs, the guard said, picking up his phone. Just tell me what floor. Sir, please, I need to... 4th floor, cardiac ICU, a woman's voice called out. Michael turned to see a tired-looking doctor in blue scrubs walking toward him. She was maybe in her 50s with kind eyes and graying hair pulled back in a ponytail. "You're Dr. Morrison?" Michael asked. "Yes, thank you for coming so quickly, Mr. Jordan." "How is she? Can I see her?" Dr. Morrison gestured toward the elevators. "Walk with me. I'll explain everything." They stepped into the elevator together. Michael pressed the button for the 4th floor 3 times, as if that would make it go faster. "Juanita came in around 9 o'clock this evening," Dr. Morrison said quietly. "She was experiencing severe chest pain and shortness of breath. We ran tests immediately. It was a moderate heart attack brought on by her existing condition." "She has a genetic heart problem," Michael said. "I just found out tonight." Dr. Morrison nodded. "Yes, hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. It's been getting worse over the years. She's been monitoring it, taking medication, but her heart is failing. She needs a transplant." The elevator dinged. 4th floor. They walked down a hallway that smelled like cleaning solution in fear. Machines beeped from behind closed doors. A nurse rushed past them carrying a tray of medicine. "How long does she have?" Michael asked. "Without a transplant?" Dr. Morrison stopped outside room 412. "Honestly, a few months at most, maybe less after tonight's episode." Michael felt the floor tilt beneath him. "But she's on the transplant list, right? She'll get a heart?" Something flickered across the doctor's face. Hesitation. "Mr. Jordan, that's something you should discuss with Juanita. But yes, you can see her now. She's awake. She asked for you specifically." Dr. Morrison opened the door and stepped aside. The room was dim, lit only by the glow of medical monitors. Machines beeped steadily, tracking heartbeats and oxygen levels. IV bags hung from metal poles. And there, in the hospital bed, was Juanita. She looked smaller than he remembered, fragile. Her beautiful face was tired, with dark circles under her eyes. Wires connected to her chest. A clip on her finger measured her pulse. But when she saw him, she smiled. "Michael," she whispered. He crossed the room in 3 quick steps and grabbed her hand. It felt cold and small in his. "I got your letter," he said, his voice breaking. "I came as soon as the hospital called. I'm sorry, I didn't want you to find out this way." "Why didn't you tell me?" Tears ran down his face. 40 years, Juanita. You carried this alone for 40 years. She squeezed his hand weakly. "I thought I was protecting you." "Protecting me? From what?" "From having to watch me die young, from feeling guilty, from making your whole life about saving me instead of being great." Michael shook his head. "I would have chosen you. Every single time I would have chosen you." "I know," Juanita said softly. "That's why I couldn't tell you." They sat in silence for a moment, just holding hands. The machines beeped steadily. Rain tapped against the window. "Did you finish the letter?" Juanita asked. "No. The hospital called before I could." "There's more?" "One more page." She closed her eyes, gathering strength. "Michael, I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you a long time ago." "What is it?" She opened her eyes and looked directly at him. Even sick, even exhausted, one of those eyes still held the same intelligence and strength he'd fallen in love with 40 years ago. "Our daughter Jasmine," she said quietly. "She has it too. The same heart condition." Michael's world stopped. "What?" "She inherited it from me. She's been having symptoms, chest pains, fatigue. I had her tested secretly last month. The results came back positive." "Does she know?" "No. I told her it was anxiety, panic attacks. I didn't want to scare her." Michael stood up, running his hands through his wet hair. "Juanita, you can't keep this from her. She needs to know. She needs treatment." "She's already getting treatment," Juanita said. "I made sure of that." "But Michael," her voice cracked, "she needs a transplant too, soon." The room spun. Michael grabbed the back of a chair to steady himself. Both of them. His ex-wife and his daughter. Both dying. "There has to be something we can do," he said desperately. "Money's not an issue. I'll pay anything. I'll find the best doctors in the world. Michael, stop." Juanita's voice was gentle but firm. "This isn't something money can fix. We need hearts, and there aren't enough to go around." "So what? We just wait?" We just hope? Juanita looked away toward the dark window. There's only one heart available in our region right now, compatible with both of us. Understanding crashed over Michael like a wave. No, he said. No, Juanita, don't even think about it. I already have, she said quietly. I made my decision. I took myself off the transplant list yesterday. What? Jasmine gets the heart, Michael. She's young. She has her whole life ahead of her. She could have children someday. Who build a career, fall in love. I've already lived my life. Michael grabbed both her hands now, holding them desperately. You can't do this. There has to be another way. There isn't. Tears rolled down Juanita's cheeks. And I'm at peace with it. I got to raise 3 beautiful children. I got to love and be loved. I got to watch you become the greatest basketball player who ever lived. That's more than most people get. It's not enough, Michael's voice rose. You deserve more time. You deserve to meet your grandchildren, to see Jasmine get married too. That's why I wrote you the letter, Juanita interrupted softly. I needed you to understand. I needed you to know the truth before I'm gone. You're not going anywhere, Michael said fiercely. I won't let you. Juanita smiled sadly. You can't stop this, Michael. Even you can't win every game. The machines beeped steadily. Nurses walked past in the hallway outside. Michael pulled the chair close to her bedside and sat down, still holding her hands. The letter, he said. Is there anything else in it? Anything else you need to tell me? Juanita's eyes filled with fresh tears. Read the last page. When you're ready. It explains everything. A nurse knocked softly and entered. I'm sorry, Mr. Jordan, but visiting hours are over. Miss Vanoy needs to rest. 5 more minutes, Michael pleaded. The nurse looked at Juanita, who nodded slightly. 5 minutes, the nurse agreed, and left them alone. Michael leaned forward, his forehead almost touching Juanita's hand. I'm not giving up on you, he whispered. I'm not letting you go without a fight. Michael? No, you spent 40 years protecting me, carrying this secret, putting everyone else first. Now it's my turn. Now I get to fight for you. Juanita's tears fell faster now. How? I don't know yet, but I'll figure it out. I promise you, Juanita, I'm going to fix this. She touched his face gently with her free hand. You can't fix everything. Watch me. Michael left the hospital at 1 in the morning, but he didn't go home. He sat in his car in the parking lot, engine running, rain still falling. His phone glowed in the darkness. He scrolled through his contacts until he found his oldest son's number. Jeffrey. He pressed call. It rang 4 times before a sleepy voice answered. Dad, it's 1 in the morning. What's wrong? I need you to meet me at the hospital, right now. Bring your brother. Hospital? Dad, are you okay? I'm fine, it's your mother and your sister. I'll explain when you get here. Mom, what happened to Northwestern Memorial, 4th floor? Hurry. Michael hung up and made another call. Marcus answered on the second ring. Dad, get to Northwestern Memorial Hospital, now. Your mother needs us. Within 30 minutes, both his sons arrived, hair messy, clothes thrown on quickly. They found Michael in the waiting room, still wet from the rain, staring at nothing. Dad, what's going on? Jeffrey asked, sitting down beside him. Michael told them everything. The letter, the genetic heart condition, the 40 years of secrets, Juanita's heart attack, and then the worst part, Jasmine. Marcus's face went pale. Jasmine has it too? She doesn't know yet. Your mother has been hiding it from her. Why would she do that? Jeffrey demanded. Because she loves her. Because she wanted to protect her as long as possible. Michael's voice cracked. Because that's what your mother does. She carries impossible burdens so the people she loves don't have to. The 3 men sat in silence. The hospital hummed around them, machines beeping, nurses walking past, someone crying quietly in another room. What can we do? Marcus finally asked. Michael looked at his sons. We can get tested, all of us. Maybe one of us is a match. Maybe we can donate. Donate what? Jeffrey asked. Part of our heart's tissue, whatever they need. I don't care. We figure out how to save them both. Jeffrey stood up. I'll find the doctor. We'll do the test tonight. He walked to the nurse's station, Marcus right behind him. Michael watched his sons, grown men now, strong and determined. When he'd missed so much of their childhood chasing championships, but they'd grown up good anyway, because of Juanita. Dr. Morrison appeared 20 minutes later, looking even more exhausted than before. Mr. Jordan, your son said you want to be tested as potential donors. All three of us, whatever it takes. She sat down across from them. I need to explain something first. Heart donation from a living person is extremely rare and risky. We can't transplant a whole heart from a living donor. That would kill the donor. But in some cases, we can use tissue, or in very specific circumstances, a portion of the heart. Whatever you need to test for it, Michael said firmly. There's something else. Dr. Morrison hesitated. Even if one of you is a match for partial donation, it would likely only help one person. And the donor would face serious health risks, reduced cardiac function, potential complications, long recovery. I don't care about the risks, Michael said. Me neither, Jeffrey added. Same here, Marcus agreed. Dr. Morrison nodded slowly. All right, I'll have the lab come up. But Mr. Jordan, you should know, at your age, even if you're a match, the surgery might be too dangerous. I'm 61, not 90. Test me anyway. Over the next 3 hours, nurses drew blood, ran tests, asked endless questions about medical histories. Michael sat patiently through all of it, answering everything. At 4 a.m, exhausted and worried, he finally went back to Juanita's room. She was awake, staring at the ceiling. You're still here, she said softly. Where else would I be? Home, asleep, living your life. Michael pulled the chair close to her bed again. My life is right here, with you. Michael, you can't save me. I told you. I've made my choice. Jasmine gets the heart. What if there was another way? What if one of us, me, Jeffrey, Marcus, what if we're a match? What if we can help? Juanita's eyes filled with tears. You had them tested? We're family. This is what families do. Michael, she reached for his hand. Even if you are a match, you could die or end up with a permanent heart damage. I can't let you do that. You don't get to make that choice for me. Not anymore. You've spent 40 years deciding what's best for everyone else. Now I get to decide what's best for me, and what's best for me is keeping you alive. They sat in silence, hands intertwined. I should have told you, Juanita whispered. Why from the beginning? About everything. Yes, you should have, but I understand why you didn't. Do you? Michael thought carefully. You were scared. You thought loving me meant protecting me from pain. But real love isn't about protection. It's about facing the pain together. Juanita closed her eyes. More tears fell. I wasted so much time, she said. I thought the divorce would save my life, give me more years. But all it did was give me more lonely years. Then let's not waste any more time. Whatever happens, however long you have, we face it together, like we should have from the start. What about Jasmine? We still have to tell her. We'll tell her together, in the morning, when the test results come back. Juanita nodded, exhausted. Her eyes started to close. Michael kissed her forehead gently. Sleep. I'll be right here when you wake up. Promise? I promise. He sat back in the chair, still holding her hand, and watched her drift off to sleep. The monitors beeped steadily. Her chest rose and fell. She was alive. For now. Dr. Morrison knocked softly and entered. Michael looked up, hope and fear warring in his chest. The results are back, she said quietly. Michael stood up carefully, not wanting to wake Juanita. He stepped into the hallway. Jeffrey isn't a match for either of them, Dr. Morrison said. Marcus isn't either. I'm sorry. Michael's heart sank. And me? The doctor looked at her tablet, then back at Michael. Her expression was unreadable. Mr. Jordan, you're not a match for Juanita. The world tilted. But, Dr. Morrison continued, you are a perfect match for your daughter Jasmine. Hope flickered back to life. Continuum, we just received some extraordinary news. A 43-year-old woman in Milwaukee died tonight. Massive brain aneurysm. She was an organ donor. And her heart... Dr. Morrison smiled slightly. It's a perfect match for Juanita. Michael grabbed the wall to steady himself. Both of them? We can save both of them? If you're willing to donate to Jasmine, yes. Both surgeries can happen simultaneously tomorrow afternoon. But Mr. Jordan, I need to be very clear about the risks. I'll do it. Whatever the risks are, I'll do it. You could have complications, reduced heart function. You might not be able to exercise the way you used to. Your recovery will be long and difficult. I don't care. When do we start? Dr. Morrison checked her watch. The transplant team is being assembled now. We'll prep both Juanita and Jasmine this morning. You'll need to sign consent forms, and we need to tell Jasmine about her condition. I'll tell her, Michael said, with Juanita, together. The doctor nodded. Get some rest if you can. Tomorrow's going to be a very long day. Michael went back into Juanita's room. She was still sleeping, peaceful despite everything. He sat back down in the chair and pulled out his phone. He needed to finish reading that letter. He needed to know everything before tomorrow. He opened his photos. He'd taken a picture of the letter before leaving his apartment, just in case. He scrolled to the last page, the page he hadn't read yet. Michael, by the time you read this, you'll know everything. About my condition, about Jasmine, about the choice I made, and I need you to understand something important. I never stopped loving you. Not for one single day in the 40 years since we met. The divorce wasn't about falling out of love. It was about being too much in love. I loved you so much that I couldn't stand watching you, torn between your greatness and your family. I loved you so much that I had to let you go. But here's what I learned in all those lonely years apart. Love isn't about sacrifice. It's not about who can suffer more, or protect more, or carry more burden alone. Real love is about showing up, being honest, letting someone love you even when you're broken. I failed at that. I kept secrets. I pushed you away. I thought I was being strong, but I was just being scared. So if you're reading this, if I'm gone, I want you to promise me something. Don't make the same mistake I did. Don't protect people from the truth. Don't carry everything alone. Let people love you. Let our children love you. Let yourself be human, not just legendary. And if by some miracle I'm still here when you read this, if we get another chance, maybe we could try again. Not the way we did before, with secrets and distance, but really try, with honesty and presence and all the messy, beautiful, imperfect parts of love. You asked me once, that night we met, why I chose you. I'll tell you now. I chose you because when I looked in your eyes, I saw someone who needed to be loved for who he was, not what he achieved. And I wanted to be the person who loved you that way. I still do. Forever yours, Juanita. Michael's tears fell onto the phone screen, blurring the words. She loved him. Still. After everything. He looked at her sleeping face, the monitors tracking her fragile heartbeat, and made a silent promise. Well, they would survive this. Both of them would. And when they did, he would spend every remaining day showing her the man she'd always seen in him. Not the legend, but just Michael, the man who loved her back. The first light of dawn crept through the hospital window. Michael hadn't slept. He'd sat in that chair all night, holding Juanita's hand, watching her breathe. At 6 o'clock, a nurse came in to check vital signs. The soft sounds woke Juanita. Her eyes fluttered open, finding Michael immediately. You stayed, she whispered. I told you I would. She smiled weakly. We need to tell Jasmine, before the surgery. I know. I called her an hour ago. She's on her way. Juanita's eyes widened. What did you tell her? Just that you were in the hospital, that we needed to talk to her about something important. 20 minutes later, Jasmine rushed into the room, her face pale with worry. She was 34 years old, beautiful like her mother, with Michael's determined eyes. Mom! Dad, what happened? She went straight to Juanita's bedside. Michael stood up, offering her the chair. Sit down, baby. We need to talk to you. About what? Mom, are you okay? Juanita reached for her daughter's hand. Jasmine, there's something I need to tell you. Something I should have told you a long time ago. Over the next 15 minutes, they told her everything. The genetic heart condition, the years of hiding it, the chest pains Jasmine had been having, not anxiety, but her failing heart. Jasmine's face went from confused to shocked to terrified. I'm dying, she whispered. No, Michael said firmly. You're not dying. We found a solution. He explained about the transplant. Wait, about being tested, about being her perfect match. Dad, no. Jasmine stood up quickly. You can't give me part of your heart. What if something goes wrong? What if you die? I'm not going to die. You don't know that. Jasmine. Juanita's voice was gentle but firm. Your father has made his choice, just like I made mine. What choice did you make? Juanita took a shaky breath. There was only one heart available, compatible with both of us, and I chose to give it to you. I took myself off the transplant list. Mom, no! Jasmine's voice broke. You can't do that. I already did, but then something incredible happened. Another heart became available. For me, so now we can both live. If your father helps you, and I accept this gift, we both get to live. Jasmine sank back into the chair, overwhelmed. Tears streamed down her face. Yari, I don't understand. Why did you keep this secret? Why didn't you tell me? Because I'm your mother, Juanita said softly, and mothers protect their children, even when it's wrong, even when it hurts. Michael knelt beside Jasmine's chair. Baby, I know you're scared. I'm scared too. But we're going to get through this together. All of us, as a family. Jasmine looked at her father, then her mother, then back again. When is the surgery? This afternoon, Michael said. 2 o'clock. Both of you? At the same time? Yes. Jasmine wiped her eyes. What if I lose you both? What if something goes wrong and I lose both my parents in one day? That's not going to happen, Michael said with absolute certainty. How do you know? Because I didn't come this far, didn't learn all these truths just to lose now. I'm not done yet, Jasmine. And neither is your mother. We have too much life left to live. 12:30 p.m. The surgical prep room buzzed with activity. Nurses moved efficiently, checking equipment, reviewing charts. Michael lay on a gurney in a hospital gown, an IV already in his arm. Jeffrey and Marcus stood beside him. Dad, are you sure about this? Marcus asked for the 10th time. I've never been more sure of anything. Dr. Morrison entered, clipboard in hand. Mr. Jordan, I need you to sign the final consent forms. After this, there's no going back. Michael took the pen without hesitation and signed his name. In the room next door, Juanita was being prepped for her surgery, and down the hall, Jasmine lay on another gurney, terrified but trying to be brave. Can I see them? Michael asked. Before we go in? Dr. Morrison nodded. You have 10 minutes. They wheeled Michael's gurney to Juanita's room first. She looked small under the white hospital sheets, her hair tucked under a surgical cap. Hey, Michael said softly. Hey yourself. She reached for his hand. Having second thoughts? Never, you? Not about the surgery, but Michael, if something happens to me, nothing is going to happen. But if it does, I need you to know something. Her grip tightened. These last few hours with you have been the happiest I've felt in 20 years. If this is the end, I'm grateful it's with you. This isn't the end, Michael said fiercely. It's the beginning. We're both going to wake up from this surgery, and then we're going to have that dinner date, and then another one, and another one. Heck, we're going to have the second chance we should have had years ago. Juanita smiled through her tears. Promise? I promise. They wheeled him to Jasmine's room next. His daughter looked young and scared, her eyes red from crying. Daddy, she whispered, I'm so scared. I know, baby, but remember what I always told you when you were little? What? Jordans don't quit. We fight, and we win. Jasmine laughed weakly. That was about basketball games. No, it was about life. Every single challenge, every obstacle, you face it head on. And you've got my heart, Jasmine. Literally. That means you've got my strength too. You're going to be okay. What if you're not okay? Michael touched her face gently. Then I'll have gone out doing the most important thing I've ever done. Saving my daughter. Now, there's no better way to spend a heart than giving it to someone you love. A nurse appeared in the doorway. It's time, Mr. Jordan. Michael kissed Jasmine's forehead. See you on the other side, baby. I love you, Dad. I love you too. More than all the championships in the world. 2 p.m. Michael stared at the bright surgical lights above him. Doctors and nurses moved around the operating room in choreographed efficiency. Machines beeped. Someone counted instruments. "Mr. Jordan, we're going to put you under now," the anesthesiologist said. "Count backwards from 10. 10, 9, 8. His last conscious thought was of Juanita's smile. 7, 6, and then darkness. 8 hours later, recovery room pain. That was the first thing Michael felt when he woke up. Sharp, burning pain in his chest. "Mr. Jordan? Can you hear me?" He tried to open his eyes. The lights were too bright. He groaned. "That's good. That's very good. You're in recovery. The surgery went well." Surgery, Jasmine, Juanita. Michael forced his eyes open. A nurse stood beside him, checking monitors. "My daughter," he croaked. His throat was raw from the breathing tube. "She's in recovery too. The transplant was successful. She's stable." Relief flooded through him. "And Juanita?" The nurse smiled. "Also stable. Her surgery went perfectly. You can see them both tomorrow when you're stronger." Michael closed his eyes again, tears leaking out. They'd made it. All three of them. Against all odds, they'd made it. 3 days later, Michael sat in a wheelchair outside Juanita's room. His chest still hurt with every breath, but the doctors said he was healing well. Faster than expected for a man his age. "Stubborn as always," Dr. Morrison had said with a smile. The door opened, and a nurse wheeled Juanita out. She was pale but smiling, her eyes bright. "Well, well," she said. "Look who's out of bed. Look who's talking. You've looked better." "So have you." They laughed, then both winced at the pain it caused. "Jasmine?" Juanita asked. "Saw her this morning. She's doing great, already complaining about the hospital food." "That's my girl." The nurse wheeled Juanita's chair next to Michael's. For a moment, they just sat there in the hallway, side by side. "We did it," Michael said quietly. "We did." "No more secrets?" "No more secrets," Juanita agreed. "From now on, complete honesty, even when it's hard." Michael reached over and took her hand. "Starting now, I need to tell you something." "What?" "I never stopped loving you either. Not for 1 second in 20 years. I just didn't know how to tell you." Juanita squeezed his hand. "I know. I could see it every time you looked at me at family gatherings. Every awkward conversation. Every polite smile that didn't reach your eyes. Why didn't you say something?" "Because I thought I'd hurt you too badly, that you'd never want to try again." "I always wanted to try again. I was just too proud to ask." They sat in comfortable silence, holding hands, breathing in sync. "So," Juanita said eventually, "what now?" "Now we heal. And then," Michael turned to look at her. "How do you feel about that dinner date? The one at the restaurant where we met?" "That's the one." Juanita smiled, really smiled, the way she used to 40 years ago. "And I'd like that. But Michael?" "Yeah?" "This time, let's not wait 37 years before being honest with each other again." "Deal." Spring sunshine warmed the streets of Chicago. Michael stood in his bathroom, adjusting his tie for the third time. His hands shook slightly, not from weakness, but from nerves. The surgery scar on his chest had healed to a thin pink line. The doctors said his recovery was remarkable. He'd regained most of his strength, though he tired more easily now. Small price to pay. "Mr. Jordan?" Elena called from downstairs. "Your car is here. Be right down." Michael took one last look in the mirror. Gray hair at his temples, lines around his eyes. 61 years old and about to go on a first date with a woman he'd known for 40 years. His phone buzzed. A text from Jeffrey. "Good luck tonight, Dad." "Yeah, Mom's been nervous all day." Michael smiled and texted back. "Me too." Another text, this time from Marcus. "Don't mess this up, old man." And finally Jasmine. "You've got this, Daddy. She loves you. She always has." Michael walked downstairs where Elena waited with his jacket. "You look very handsome," she said, helping him into it. "I look terrified." "That too." She smiled warmly. "But that's how you know it matters." The drive to Juanita's apartment took 15 minutes. She'd moved to a smaller place after the surgery. Something easier to manage, she'd said. Something that felt like a fresh start. Michael's driver pulled up outside a brownstone building. Flowers bloomed in window boxes. A maple tree shaded the entrance. "Want me to wait, Mr. Jordan?" "No, thank you. And I'll call when we're ready." Michael walked to the front door and pressed the buzzer for apartment 3B. His heart pounded. The healthy part and the part that belonged to Jasmine both beating hard. "Hello," Juanita's voice through the intercom. "It's me." The door buzzed open. Michael climbed the stairs slowly, still careful not to push too hard. The doctors had cleared him for normal activity, but he'd learned to listen to his body. "Apartment 3B, he knocked. Juanita opened the door and Michael forgot how to breathe. She wore a simple blue dress that brought out her eyes. Her hair fell in soft waves around her shoulders. She'd lost weight during the recovery, but she looked healthy, strong, beautiful. "Hi," she said softly. "Hi. You look... Wow. You clean up pretty well yourself." She grabbed her purse from a table by the door. "Ear ready? Actually, there's something I want to show you first, if that's okay?" Juanita tilted her head, curious. "Show me what?" "It's a surprise. Do you trust me?" She smiled. "After everything?" "Yes, I trust you." They drove through Chicago as the sun began to set, painting the sky orange and pink. Juanita watched the familiar streets pass by. "Where are we going?" "The restaurant is in the other direction." "We're making a stop first." 20 minutes later, they pulled up to a small park near the lake. Michael had been here 1,000 times. It was where he used to run in the mornings during his playing days. "Why are we here?" Juanita asked. Michael came around and opened her door, offering his hand. "Come with me." They walked along a paved path toward the lake. The water sparkled in the fading light. A few joggers passed by, each some doing double takes when they recognized Michael's face. Near a bench overlooking the water, Michael stopped. 40 years ago, I proposed to you in that restaurant. You said yes, but you were scared. You were carrying a secret that you thought would ruin everything." "Michael, let me finish." He turned to face her fully. "You were right to be scared. Marriage is terrifying. Love is terrifying. Letting someone see all of you, the broken parts, the sick parts, the parts you're ashamed of. That takes more courage than anything I ever did on a basketball court." Juanita's eyes glistened. "But here's what I learned," Michael continued. "Love isn't about being perfect. It's not about protecting each other from pain or carrying burdens alone. It's about showing up, being honest. Choosing each other even when it's hard." He reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Juanita's hand flew to her mouth. "Michael, what are you doing?" "Something I should have done 20 years ago when you told me you wanted a divorce." He opened the box, revealing a simple silver ring. "I'm asking you to marry me again, not because I'm trying to recapture what we had, but because I want to build something new, something better, something real." Tears streamed down Juanita's face. "We've already been married," she said through her tears. "Already tried and failed." "We didn't fail. We just weren't ready. We were too young, too scared, too proud. But we're not those people anymore." Michael took the ring from the box. "I'm not asking you to marry Michael Jordan, the basketball legend. I'm asking you to marry Michael, a 61-year-old man with a scarred chest and a heart that's not quite whole. A man who's made a million mistakes but is finally learning what matters." "And what matters?" "You, our children, our family. The quiet moments that nobody else sees. That's what matters. That's what I want for whatever time we have left." Juanita wiped her eyes, smiling and crying at the same time. "You're really doing this?" "I really am. So what do you say, Juanita Vinoy? Will you marry me again?" She looked at the ring, then at Michael, then out at the lake where the sun was setting in brilliant colors. "I have conditions," she said finally. "Okay. No secrets. Ever. Even the hard truths." "Agreed. We go to therapy. Both of us. Together." "Absolutely. And we take it slow. We date properly this time. No rushing into anything just because we have history." "As slow as you want." Juanita looked at him for a long moment. "Ask me again." Michael smiled and got down on one knee. Slowly, carefully, his healing chest protesting slightly. "Juanita Vinoy, love of my life, mother of my children, keeper of my heart. Will you marry me?" She held out her hand. "Yes. Yes, I'll marry you." He slipped the ring onto her finger. Her right hand, not her left. A new beginning, not a repeat. "We're really doing this?" she asked. "We're really doing this?" Michael stood up, and Juanita threw her arms around him. They held each other as the sun sank below the horizon. Two people who'd loved and lost and found their way back to each other. "I love you," Michael whispered into her hair. "I love you too. I always have. I know." Outraged, I read the letter. Juanita pulled back to look at him. "All of it?" "Every word, even the last page that I almost missed. And you were right. About everything. I was becoming a machine, a monument, a legend. But you kept me human, even when I didn't want to be. Even when it cost you everything." "It didn't cost me everything. It gave me 3 incredible children. And now," she touched his chest gently, right over the scar, "now it gave me another chance with you." They stood there as darkness fell, holding each other. Two hearts that had beaten separately for too long, finally finding the same rhythm. The restaurant, 8 p.m. The same restaurant where they'd met 40 years ago had been completely renovated, but Michael had pulled strings to get the same table by the window. They sat across from each other, menus open, but ignored. "Do you remember what you ordered that first night?" Juanita asked. "Water, because I was too nervous to eat. And I thought you were the most arrogant athlete I'd ever met." "I was arrogant." "Yes, you were," she laughed. "But you were also sweet and vulnerable, and you actually listened when I talked. You were the first person who made me feel like I was enough. Just being me." The waiter came and took their orders. When he left, Juanita reached across the table for Michael's hand. "Tell me something true," she said. "Something you've never told anyone." Michael thought for a moment. "When we got divorced, I cried for 3 days straight, locked myself in my house and just broke. I'd won 6 championships, become the most famous athlete in the world, achieved everything I'd ever dreamed of, but losing you felt like losing everything that actually mattered. Why didn't you fight for me? Because you asked me not to, because you said you needed to find yourself again, and because I thought maybe you'd be happier without me." "I wasn't," Juanita said quietly. "I was healthier, physically. The stress of being Mrs. Michael Jordan almost killed me, but I was never happier." "Are you happy now?" She squeezed his hand. "Right now, in this moment, with you?" "Yes, I'm happy." Their food arrived. They ate slowly, talking about everything. Their children, their grandchild-to-be. Jasmine was dating someone seriously. Their recovery, their plans. "What do you want to do now that basketball is behind you?" Juanita asked. "I don't know. Something meaningful. Maybe work with kids. Maybe just be a better father and grandfather than I was the first time around. You were a good father. I was an absent father. There's a difference. Then be present now. Our kids still need you. Jasmine especially, after everything." "How is she really?" Michael asked. "She tells me she's fine, but she's scared sometimes, worried that the transplant will fail, worried about you, but she's strong, like her father." "Like her mother," Michael corrected. They finished dinner and ordered coffee. The restaurant began to empty as closing time approached. "I should tell you something," Juanita said, stirring cream into her coffee. "The doctors did more tests last week. My new heart is functioning perfectly. Better than expected." "That's wonderful." "And Jasmine's latest checkup was excellent. Your heart tissue integrated perfectly. She'll need to take medications for the rest of her life, but she's going to be fine." Michael felt relief wash over him. "Thank God. So we're all going to live, Michael. We all get second chances. Then let's not waste them." Juanita raised her coffee cup. "To second chances?" Michael clinked his cup against hers. "To second chances, and to the truth, and to whatever comes next. Together," Juanita added. "Together," Michael agreed. They sat in that restaurant until closing, talking like they hadn't talked in decades. The staff politely waited, recognizing Michael but giving them space. When they finally left, it was nearly midnight. The Chicago streets were quiet. Michael's driver had returned and waited by the curb. "Can I walk you to your door?" Michael asked. "When I'd like that." He told the driver to follow slowly as they walked the few blocks to Juanita's apartment. They didn't talk much, just walked hand in hand under the streetlights. At her door, they stopped. "Thank you for tonight," Juanita said. For the proposal, for the honesty, for everything. Thank you for saying yes, again. She reached up and touched his face. I'm scared, Michael. Scared that we'll make the same mistakes. Scared that it won't work. Me too, but I'm more scared of not trying. Juanita smiled. When did you become so wise? When I almost lost everything that mattered. She kissed him then, soft and gentle, a promise of things to come. Good night, Michael. Good night, Juanita. I'll call you tomorrow. You better. He watched her go inside, waited until the light in her apartment came on, could then walk back to his car, feeling lighter than he had in 20 years. His phone buzzed with a text from Jasmine. Well? Michael smiled and typed back. She said yes. 3 dots appeared immediately. Then, I'm so happy I'm crying. Don't mess this up, Dad. I won't, I promise. And for the first time in his life, Michael Jordan was absolutely certain he'd keep that promise. 1 year later, the private room at Northwestern Memorial Hospital buzzed with quiet excitement. Nurses smiled as they passed by. Doctors stopped to peek through the window. Word had spread quickly. Jasmine Jordan was having her baby. Michael sat in the corner, trying to stay out of the way. His hands gripped the armrests of his chair. Beside him, Juanita squeezed his arm. Breathe, she whispered. Italy, you look more nervous than when you took the last shot in the '98 finals. That was easier, Michael admitted. I was in control then. Juanita laughed softly. They'd been remarried for 6 months now. A small ceremony in their backyard with just family and close friends. No cameras, no press, just the people who mattered. Jasmine cried out from the hospital bed. Her partner David held her hand, whispering encouragement. Jeffrey and Marcus stood near the door, looking pale. How much longer? Marcus asked the nurse. Not long now, maybe an hour. Michael stood up and walked to Jasmine's bedside. His daughter's face was red and sweaty, her hair plastered to her forehead. Dad, she gasped between contractions. I can't do this. Yes, you can. Guess you're the strongest person I know. That's because I have your heart. She managed a weak smile. No, baby, you've always had your own strength. I just helped a little. Another contraction hit. Jasmine squeezed David's hand so hard Michael heard knuckles crack. But David didn't complain. He just kept whispering. You've got this. I'm right here. Michael stepped back, giving them space. He returned to Juanita, who took his hand. You okay? She asked. Just thinking about when you had the kids. I miss so much. I was always traveling, always training. You're here now. That's what matters. Am I? Really here, I mean. Not just physically, but... Juanita turned to face him fully. Michael Jordan, you've been more present in the last year than in all our years of marriage combined. You go to therapy. You call the kids every day. And you remember birthdays and anniversaries. You're here. Trust me. Michael nodded, but the guilt still sat heavy in his chest. 40 years of chasing greatness, and he'd missed the moments that actually mattered. Dad, Jeffrey called out. It's happening. 30 minutes later, the sound of a baby crying filled the room. Michael felt tears stream down his face before he even saw her. It's a girl, the doctor announced. A healthy baby girl. Jasmine sobbed with relief and joy. David kissed her forehead over and over. The nurses worked quickly, cleaning and wrapping the tiny baby. Would Grandpa like to cut the cord? The doctor asked, looking at Michael. Michael's heart nearly stopped. Me? Go on, Juanita nudged him gently. With shaking hands, Michael approached. The doctor handed him surgical scissors and showed him where to cut. One snip, and the baby was officially her own person. The nurse placed the infant in Jasmine's arms. She was perfect. Tiny fingers, wisps of dark hair, eyes squinting against the bright lights. Hi, sweet girl, Jasmine whispered. We've been waiting for you. Michael couldn't stop staring. This little life, this miracle. Part of his daughter, part of him, a whole new generation. Do you want to hold her, Grandpa? The nurse asked. Michael nodded, unable to speak. The nurse carefully transferred the baby into his arms. She was so light, so fragile. He remembered holding Jeffrey for the first time, 35 years ago. He'd been terrified then too, but this time was different. This time he was fully present. No game tomorrow, No interview to rush to, no championship to chase. Just this moment, this baby, this family. What's her name? Marcus asked softly. Jasmine looked at David, who nodded with a smile. Then she looked at her parents. June Dolores Jordan, Jasmine said. June after Mom, Dolores after Grandma. Juanita gasped, her hand flying to her mouth. Tears spilled down her cheeks. Michael looked down at baby June, then at Juanita, then at all his children gathered in this room, his family, whole and healthy and together. Hi, June, he whispered to the baby. I'm your grandpa, and I promise you something right now. I'm going to be here for every birthday, every scraped knee, every school play. I'm going to do it right this time. The baby yawned, completely unimpressed by his promise. Everyone laughed. Can I? Juanita asked, reaching out. Michael carefully transferred June into her arms. Juanita held the baby close, swaying gently. Naka, she's perfect, Juanita said. Absolutely perfect. Jeffrey pulled out his phone. We need a family photo. Everyone get in close. They gathered around Juanita and the baby, Jasmine in the hospital bed, David beside her, Jeffrey and Marcus on one side, Michael on the other. A family that had been broken and scattered, now whole again. Say Jordan, Jeffrey called out. Jordan, they all said together, and the camera clicked. Later that night, Michael and Juanita sat alone in the hospital cafeteria, nursing terrible coffee. It was 2 a.m. The kids were finally settled, Jasmine and the baby sleeping, David dozing in a chair beside them, Jeffrey and Marcus having gone home. I can't believe we're grandparents, Michael said, still dazed. I can't believe we're married again. Any regrets? Juanita thought for a moment. Hun, not a single one. You. Only that it took us so long to get here. They sat in comfortable silence, the kind that only comes from years of knowing someone completely. Can I ask you something? Michael said. That letter you wrote, the one that changed everything, why did you send it when you did? Juanita wrapped her hands around her coffee cup. Because I thought I was dying. I needed you to know the truth before I ran out of time. I needed you to understand why I made the choices I did. And if you hadn't gotten sick, would you ever have told me? Honestly, I don't know. Maybe I would have taken those secrets to my grave, but I'm glad I didn't. Even though it was terrifying, even though I thought you'd hate me for keeping so much hidden. I'm glad you know everything now. I could never hate you. You were angry though. And when you found out about the heart condition, about hiding it for 40 years. Michael nodded slowly. I was furious actually. Not because you had the condition, but because you carried it alone. Because you didn't trust me enough to share it. And now I understand. You were trying to protect me, trying to protect everyone. That's what you do. You carry the weight so others don't have to. That's what mothers do, Juanita corrected gently. But you shouldn't have had to do it alone. That's what partners are for, to carry things together. Juanita smiled. We're learning, both of us, how to let someone in, how to be vulnerable, how to ask for help. Therapy's helping with that. It is, Juanita laughed. Who would have thought? Michael Jordan in couples therapy. Best decision I ever made. Well, not second best. What was the first? Proposing to you, both times. A nurse walked by with a fresh pot of coffee and topped off their cups. Congratulations on the grandbaby, she said with a warm smile. Thank you, they said together. When the nurse left, Michael pulled out his phone. I kept it, the letter. You did? He scrolled through his photos until he found it. The images he'd taken of each page that rainy night almost a year ago. I read it sometimes, when I need to remember what matters. When I start feeling like I need to prove something or be someone other than who I am. He handed Juanita the phone. She looked at the first image, her own handwriting, the first devastating line. Michael, I never told you the real reason I said yes when you proposed. That line destroyed me, Michael said quietly. And when I first read it, I felt like everything I thought I knew about us was a lie. But then I kept reading, and I realized it wasn't a lie at all. It was the truth I'd been too blind to see. What truth? That you loved me so much you were willing to sacrifice yourself to keep me whole. That you saw the greatness in me before anyone else did, and you married me to protect it. To protect me from becoming a monument instead of a man. Juanita wiped her eyes. I failed, though. You became a monument anyway. For a while, but you brought me back. That letter brought me back. And now, he gestured around the empty cafeteria, the fluorescent lights, the vending machines humming in the corner. Now I'm just a guy sitting in a hospital cafeteria with his wife, drinking bad coffee and marveling at his new granddaughter. And that's all I want to be. No more chasing legends? The only legend I care about now is the one we're building together, the story we're writing with whatever time we have left. Juanita reached across the table and took his hand. And what story is that? The story of two people who loved each other enough to let go and then loved each other even more to try again. The story of second chances and honest truths and showing up when it matters. That's a good story. It's the only story that matters. They finished their coffee and walked back up to Jasmine's room. Through the window, they could see their daughter sleeping peacefully, baby June in a bassinet beside her bed. She's going to be a wonderful mother, Juanita whispered. Or she learned from the best. They stood there watching. Two people who'd traveled separate roads for 20 years, who'd hidden secrets and built walls, who'd loved and lost and found their way back to each other. Michael pulled Juanita close, wrapping his arms around her from behind. They swayed gently, watching their granddaughter sleep. Thank you, he whispered into her hair. For what? For writing that letter, for being brave enough to tell the truth, for giving me another chance to get it right. Thank you for reading it, for coming to the hospital, for fighting for all of us when it mattered most. I'd do it again in a heartbeat, literally. Juanita laughed softly, careful not to wake the baby. That's terrible, Michael. But true. As the night shifted toward morning, as nurses changed shifts and the hospital slowly woke up, a Michael Jordan stood holding the woman he loved, watching the newest member of his family sleep. He thought about that first line of the letter one more time. Michael, I never told you the real reason I said yes when you proposed. Now he knew. She'd said yes because she loved him enough to try to save him from himself. And 40 years later, they'd saved each other. Not from death, though they'd done that too, but from loneliness, from secrets, from living half-lives in separate worlds. They'd saved each other by finally being completely, vulnerably, messily human together. And that, Michael realized, was the greatest victory of his life. Not the 6 championships, not the fame or the fortune or the legacy, but this, being present, being honest, being loved and loving in return, being home. Baby June stirred in her sleep. It's making tiny sounds. Through the glass, Jasmine's eyes opened. She saw her parents watching and smiled. Michael and Juanita walked into the room together, ready to meet the day as a family. Imperfect, scarred, but whole, ready to write the next chapter of their story, together. So that's the incredible story of how one letter brought Michael and Juanita back together, gave them a second chance at love, and reminded us all that it's never too late for the truth. Now we want to hear from you. Where are you watching this video from? Drop your city and country in the comments below. We love connecting with viewers from all around the world. If this story touched your heart, please hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you're helping us spread kindness and inspiration to people everywhere who need to hear stories like this. And don't go anywhere yet. Click on the video appearing on your screen right now for another amazing story that will move you. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, love, honesty, and second chances can change everything. See you in the next video.